It's really being myself, literally being myself. I have never stopped being Thobi. I've never stopped being Thobi Rose. I was Thobi Rose. I had a blog in varsity called Thobi Rose,
Yeah.
or the Rose Bible, and I've never stopped being who I am. I think what makes me who I am, and I guess unique in that way, is really being okay with who I am and being fully me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pat and Brands Dialogues. I am Pat Masang. Today, as always, we're bringing out the big guns in the industry in different sectors within the marketing and communication space. And today, I have the honor and the privilege to actually host one of the ladies that I've watched grow in front of my eyes, Thobi Rose.
Hi.
Welcome to the Pat and Brands Dialogues.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here today, to speak to you guys, to educate you, to entertain you, and to just tell a little bit of my story, which is, I think everybody has a story to tell. So I'm very excited. Thank you, Pat, for inviting me. And yeah, we go way back.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, take us a few steps back, or a few years back in terms of how you got where you are today.
So I had started working at 16 years old, and then I went to study at UJ. And already on campus, I kind of became that social butterfly. I started working for BlackBerry. I was a BlackBerry ambassador on the campus. I worked for alcoholic brands that used to throw events and parties, and I would have to basically be the face of that brand on campus and around my friends. And I guess the love for creating content and brands, working with brands, started then as a first year student. So that's when it all began. And then I worked for YFM as the entertainment reporter and producing amazing content in terms of radio. And that was on the Drive Time show, which was very exciting for a young, impressionable 20-year-old Thobi, who really just got in there, stuck it out, and did it. And I think I was at YFM for about 4 years until I started to itch. I wanted something different. I have always loved communications. I studied strategic comms. I've always loved comms. I've always liked branding. I'm very talkative, as you guys can tell. So I itched, and I started being like, listen, maybe I need to be in front of the camera. I don't know what to do. And I started like DMing all these people like, hey, can I start working at the entertainment? What can I do? And they'd always be like, no. Until one day I got a DM on Twitter from the senior producer for the entertainment at the time. And it's a production house called Afro Cards. And he was like, listen, you've been hounding us and we see your work at YFM. Would you like to come and interview to be a junior content producer? At the time, I was like, what? I don't even understand what goes into this. And it being behind the scenes. And so I started working for Afro Cards, and I started producing the entertainment at the time, when it was still the entertainment that we all remember. And it was exciting, being young, being able to, script write, being able to go to events, interview the biggest celebrities in this country, create what people were watching, And for me, that is where the real bug of creating content started. And so when things started changing in the television space, I saw a bit of a gap, and I was like, listen, I need to brand myself. I can't just be the girl who interviews celebs. My goal was way bigger. And so I left, and I am here today. I've been traveling since I was 5 years old. It's always been in me. It just wasn't something I would overly share. And I think I had to go back to what my purpose was, which was storytelling, which was traveling, meeting new people. And that's where the love for travel came in. And I'm basically doing what I've always been doing in my whole life. I am connecting with people, engaging with brands, helping brands position their messaging, and using these beautiful platforms that I have that have grown over the years to do that. And so that's where I am now. I'm a content creator, digital content creator, and I just love creating content that resonates.
What do you think is that secret sauce that you have, that you would attribute your success to? That,
It's really being myself, literally being myself. I have
hmm,
never stopped being Tobeg. I've never stopped being Thobi Rose. I was Thobi Rose. I had a blog in varsity called Thobi Rose,
yeah,
or the Rose Bible, and I've never stopped being who I am. I think what makes me who I am, and I guess unique in that way,
yeah,
is really being okay with who I am and being fully me. I've never had to put myself in situations where I'm trying to fit in.
yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. I've never had to fit in. I've never changed who I am. I've never, if everyone is dressing like this, and it's not me, I'm not going to do it. So I think it's just that, being myself.
And the name Thobi Rose, I know you are Tobeg, I'm Tim. How
Yeah,
did
bro.
you get to Thobi Rose?
So I cut my hair for the first time in varsity, like short like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was in first year or second year. And I was like craving a change. And I went to the barber, cut my hair. After cutting my hair, everyone was like, "You look like a rosebud. You look like a rosebud. Like your head shape is so perfect. And you look like, a lot is about to happen in your life." And then
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cute.
Wow.
I'm going to keep." And that's
Yeah,
where it started. It started in varsity, and then it was Rosebud in the beginning. And then I was like, but my name is not there,
yeah,
so I need to say Thobi Rose.
yeah.
And that's where it began, and it's been Thobi Rose ever since varsity, all the way through YFM, the entertainment, and now. And I think it just embodies who I am.
Yeah.
I'm always changing, I'm shifting, but I'm always becoming, like a rosebud blooming.
Wow.
Just keep living. Yeah. So that's the name, and that's where it comes from.
Fantastic. So now, as a content creator, a lot of people we go onto there, especially on Instagram. I've seen that the coolest title to have is digital content creator, entrepreneur, and. But a lot of them, when you sort of dig deeper and sort of study their accounts just to see what they're really about, it doesn't embody that of a digital content creator. But then now the question is, what separates a good content creator and those that just have the title?
A lot of people who just have the title and they don't even understand what it means. It's more than just the title, and I think also a content creator is not only someone who works with brands. Content creator is someone who creates content. So when I say create content, I don't mean just showing their hand and saying, "Look how nice my hand is," but it's someone who's telling a story. So, for example, talking and saying, "I feel like doing a series all about travel." When you do that series, you need to think about a lot of aspects. So whether it's who's going to shoot that for you, what is the messaging, what's the brand messaging that you want to put across? Thirdly, how are you going to market that? So you need to see yourself as a housing for content in terms of photography, video, copy, so the caption, and then obviously the story and how it comes across to your audience. And I think a lot of people think it's as simple as just taking a photo, but it's not. It's definitely the thought process behind it. It's the messaging. It's the actual positioning of the photo. How does it look? It's the video production. It's everything like that. So there is a difference between a content creator and an influencer. A lot of influencers are not content creators, but there are influencers who are content creators. So it's examples when a brand says to you, "Thobi, we have this brief. Can you fulfill this brief?" And the creative, way of doing it is all in your hands. Meaning that Thobi needs to read this brief and then create the content and create the messaging behind, the brief. Then a brand could send you a brief and say, "Thobi, this is what you're going to say, and this is the photo we want. So we want you to put the KFC in your hand, and we want you to say the KFC is nice." So that's influencing. You didn't create content, you didn't think of a caption, you are basically the model. You're
Yeah.
the person with the following, and you're there to sort of just take out the brand messaging. So there is a
It's
difference,
just
and a lot of
the information. You just
yes, you just distribute it. Yeah, and I think a lot of people think to be a content creator you must be working with brands, and I don't think it's the case. I think we can create content without working with brands. I have a YouTube channel we have created with my sister, and we had a series called The Black Man Suit, which was self-funded, and because we are content creators, those
yeah.
are the things that afterwards you can sell to a brand because you have self-funded it and you have done it. Another example
You,
is we just come back from a trip, a part of a campaign called South Africa is Travel Ready. And we created all that content by ourselves. We produced the content. We edited by ourselves. We did the brand messaging. And that was self-funded in itself. All brand gave us was, okay, guys, you guys can come and shoot. You guys can shoot, you guys can do this, and these are the hashtags. But all of that content that was distributed was actually created by us, our messaging, our video, our thoughts, everything that went into it, So it's basically like how an advertising agency would work. It is how a production house would work. And those are content creators. And I think the greatest content creators don't rely on brands to create content.
so now I just want to speak a bit about obviously ownership then of that content. Obviously in music we speak about owning your masters, being like
Yeah.
the holy grail. With content, can you do the same? What sort of agreements you get into with brands? For example, if you're to create a campaign or create content that the brand would use, you have the ownership rights so that you can use it with other brands, that type of thing. Is there something like that exists within the content creation slash influencer marketing space?
Does exist depending on who you are and at what level you're in. So a lot of, content creation in South Africa and the digital landscape is quite new. I think we're still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to understand it. We're still fighting for payment and how payments work. There are a lot of brands now who are protecting themselves, and a lot of creators also who are protecting themselves. So whether it's you going to a client and saying, I've got an idea, and allowing that client to sign an NDA, being able to have those things are very important. So with me, in terms of the content I create, I basically own most of it. Unless it is a brand who comes to me and says, hi, Thobi, we need you as an influencer for this campaign, and we then have rights to this content. And so that's a different thing. But a lot of the time, I think we also don't ask for the contracts, we don't sign. And so that leaves things hanging. And I think the more the industry grows in terms of the digital landscape, it's the more that influencers and creators need to protect their work and start creating NDAs and allowing ourselves to be seen as serious. I don't send proposals anymore without disclaimers at the bottom of my proposals, just to let brands know that I know what I'm talking about. And if I see this being implemented by another creator, there are implications to that.
Yeah.
But I think it's those small things that we need to do as a community to just safeguard our creative ideas and to safeguard ourselves as creators.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, in other industries, you'll have people forming associations, for example. Do you think maybe there is a space for the Content Creators Association of South Africa that that would be like the mouthpiece and the voice of all content creators in the country? Is
Wish
there?
there was. I think we talk about this a lot. I wish there were standardized ways of being paid, terms and all of those things. I am still waiting for that, and I'm not sure if it will ever exist in South Africa. I think there's also a big. What? No, I don't think I would. Nah, Pat, you putting me on the spot. But I think it's important that we do it because I think people are being ripped off by brands. Brands have the money, they have the budget, and we're still not getting paid what we should be getting paid. If you see the difference between creators in South Africa and the UK and the USA, you will see such a difference in terms of payment and how we are paid and how we are respected in our respective arts. We create adverts, I don't know if you've seen some work of amazing content creators who are actually creating adverts for these brands, who are creating online communities, we are selling our communities that we are building. So when a brand comes on my page, they are basically being seen by 20,000 people. They have access to that. They gain access to my community. And I think people don't realize that. They don't realize, how much research they can get out of working with a creator, and how easy and tangible that research is. And so those are the small things that I feel like we do need. I think there's space for us to have that sort of a body. I don't know who it would be who is going to move forward and do the work. But sizobona phambili.
But also, let's take a few steps back. Like, what does it take for one to be a content creator? Because I understand with the advent increase in terms of the use of devices, the barriers to entry. In your view, do you think, are they low? Is it easy? Anyone can be a content creator. Do you need a full HD camera to be taking those quality videos and a drone? Actually, I watched your promo video where you like
Yeah.
looking out of the LA or something. Then the areas all of you like doing the thing. So what does it take for one to like? Okay, I hear you, Toby. You're saying all these nice things about being a content creator. You need to invest, but I don't have the money. I don't have the capacity or whatever. And to have a photographer following me around, I see your boyfriend is now doing the things. So there. I don't have a boyfriend. I'm just paired a phone to start with.
Yeah.
So
It's consistency, hey. And I bought my first camera this year, like first camera this year. It's consistency. Number one. Number two is a passion for creating, a passion for the creative arts, for telling a story, right?
yeah,
Number three, I think it's really just knowing where you want to go with it. So I always say to people, your phone is your biggest asset. I promise you, it's your biggest asset. Being able to literally just use your phone to tell stories every day, put something, show us how your day was, whatever your focus and your niche is.
yeah,
Find that, find what actually drives you, find what drives your passion inside and makes you want to, engage with people, be very consistent, have a brand story about yourself. So
yeah.
know who you are and what you're going to give to the industry. But also use the people around you. All those drone shots, it's friends, it's I don't have a drone, I don't have a setup
Yeah.
where there's a studio. I find places in my house to shoot. Be smart about the content you create, and you will make it, guys. I'm not at the top tier level, but I can tell you for a fact is that I am consistently creating, and I am actually making a living out of it. I get paid every month, and there hasn't been a month during this year that I haven't gotten paid. But
Well,
it's because I am consistent.
yeah.
And it's because I'm smart in the collaborations that I have. I use the people around me. I collaborate. Don't be afraid to collaborate. Don't be afraid to say, "Yo, Pat, can you come through? Please shoot this for me. I know you have a camera. Let's do this. I'll buy you lunch." Trust me, those things are the things that have helped me. I have not paid a lot of people for things, but I have now, because if I'm getting paid, I need to also pay people. But in the beginning, it's favors. I'll do this for you, you do this for me. How do we help each other grow? So be able to ask the right people questions, work with people in the same following with you, collaborate with people. Don't be in a rush to upgrade and get a camera if you don't feel like it's going to make money for you. And that's exactly why I only bought a camera recently, because I was like, okay, this is a thing that is sustainable. And once I realized it was sustainable, I had to upgrade so that the brands could pay me a different rate. And brands could see that, okay, Thobi now has this. Okay, if we ask Thobi for a drone footage, she can get her friend to come and do it. So be able to not over invest in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Use what you have. Scout for locations. Simple things like saying, "Let me take a taxi and just drive around," or "Let me go with my friend. Let's look for locations to shoot." Free locations. Go
Yeah.
and sit at Starbucks and have free Wi-Fi. There's all these things that people think that it's so glamorous, but it's not. We create content and we try by all means to make that money back. But we all go to Starbucks for the free Wi-Fi. We all go look for free places to, invest back into our craft.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest thing is starting, not being afraid to start with what you have, but staying consistent, following the right people, making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who would want to invest in you. The importance of relationship building and not thinking that you are above anybody. These are all the lessons that I've learned. I mean, Pat, I've known you for so many years. And even when I had one of my biggest campaigns, which was last year with that alcohol brand, you were there, you were like, yay! And I was getting paid from them on a retainer, And so it's the relationship that we build that can only help take us to that next level. I wouldn't be where I am without people that have known me for years, who have believed in me, who have seen me grow. And I've never made myself above anybody, because the relationships that we build are the most important relationships that we need from the beginning, and just be ready to invest into it, to spend. It's not a cheap game. Being a content creator is not cheap. You'll lose a lot of money, but for a passion, it's something that if you are really into it and you love it, you need to just start, be consistent, and be able to be patient. The deals don't run in the beginning. You will do things for free. You will do trade exchanges. You will be paid rubbish, and that's just the cause of moving. We still fight these fights, and I think it's just it's a slow game. I think it's the same in every industry, and I think we need to see it as the same industry. It's an industry, and it's a very small industry that is only starting to pick up now.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned all these things, and I mean, you say you need to build relationships, you need to invest, also you need to be resourceful in a sense that using stuff that's around or that's readily available to you, taking advantage of those. So, being the entrepreneur that I am, I feel like that's a business. You are the business. You have to think like an entrepreneur. You have to think like a businesswoman or man to actually make it, because all these things are what make a business.
Yes, and small things like recently I decided to register myself as a company. Take myself seriously, and thank you.
My LTD.
It's literally Thobi Rose is a whole business, and being able to pay myself monthly, being able to have a business account, being able to say, this is how much I'm paying myself monthly. This is, so my taxes, and take yourself seriously, and I think, yes. Yeah. So I think it's important to do that, take yourself seriously. And the minute you think that it's starting to pick up, register yourself as a business, go do your taxes, do all your stuff, be within and pay yourself monthly, because those are the things that will help us when we are wanting to buy property, when we are wanting to buy and actually be a part of creating legacies, and I think we need to start early, because as a creator, it's tough to own property. It's tough to get a car, because they're like, I bought this month, it's this month, and so you have to be smart that you're making yourself an employee of yourself, and that every month you're getting paid. And so it's easier for you when you're wanting to look for office space, when you're wanting to look for property, when you're wanting to buy a car, and those are the small things that will make a difference, I think, when you make yourself a business.
So you're speaking about, I mean, an office space. So I can only imagine. I mean, what are going to be the office space? as Thobi Rose, the content creator? Are you gonna have a studio with big lights and cameras? How does your office look like? I'm just interested to know. Unlike, for example, with us as an agency, obviously we're gonna have
Yeah.
coming in or doing whatever, you know. So how does your office as Thobi Rose, the business, look like?
Well, before I get it, thank you for manifesting. So it looks like that. It looks like having a studio space. It looks like having someone who runs all the collaborations that we do. It looks like having a team that works on proposals and sells in-house content to brands. It looks like me creating my own content. It looks like me having my own little team of people under me, and we create content out of my company, and we sell our own original content to brands. That is the future. That's where I want to go. Influencing is great, but if you want to be a proper content creator, you have to create the content, and you need to be able to package it and sell it to brands, and have 100% ownership over that content. So that's what it looks like for me. It looks like having a studio to shoot content. It looks like having a team to work on proposals, to send out proposals, to edit, having someone who's an editor, in-house editor. That's what it looks like for me. I thrive in going out and looking for business. So I would be the one looking for new business,
Wow.
speaking to the brands and making sure that everything's good. And that's what it looks like for me. I think it's exactly what it looks like for you. It's an agency. It's basically an agency that houses in-house content. And I think that's where things are moving towards, in terms of us feeling like we don't need Red Bull to come to me and say, Thobi, go and do this. I want to create content and sell it to Red Bull. I want to create this type of podcast and sell it to this brand. And for me, it's all of that. It's having a holistic view on it, and not seeing myself just as an Instagrammable person. I have a YouTube channel now, and that will be housing a few more other stuff, and going into probably podcasting, going into other avenues, other digital avenues, that will create a content house, that will house amazing content that speaks to the African viewer, the African listener, the
Yeah.
African person, in terms of lifestyle and travel and storytelling.
Yeah, interesting. Speaking about travel and obviously storytelling, you've traveled quite a bit in the continent, you know. What has been some of your observation, particularly in terms of the youth, and in your space from a content creation point of view? Is there any difference, or are we all doing the same? Or how does it look like in Kenya? I've been to Kenya, eh?
Yes, love Kenya.
Yes.
Love Kenya.
How does it look like outside of the borders of SA?
I think we are all, as Africans, having this awakening, right? We all want to start creating stories. But what I've realized, especially with Ghana, Kenya, I have friends in all African countries, by the way, because of social media.
Well,
And my Ghanaian friends are amazing in terms of collaboration,
mhm.
in terms of working together, which is something as South Africans I don't think we do enough. We are still waiting for validation. And so in Ghana, it looks like a lot of collaborative work. It looks like a lot of work doing with their culture, right? I
Yeah,
think in South Africa, we haven't touched on how do we know ourselves as South Africans, and how do we push the content of ourselves, of Africa. And in other African countries, they do it so well. So, for example, Tina, we go to the restaurants like Tasha's, right?
yeah,
They go and eat at a street food, right? Food on the street, home food, ipapa, inyama. You know what I'm saying? Like, they
yeah,
really are wholesome in terms of the content they create, and their type of content for me is where I feel like as Africans we all need to go to. We need to come back home. We need to be able to support other Africans. It's so important to be African centered, instead of us saying we're going to push this American brand, I'm going to push
mm,
whatever brand, I'm going to push that brand. Why
yeah,
are we not pushing our African brands? Why are we not helping one another grow? So for me, that's what I see a lot. In Kenya, there's a huge, huge, huge content creation you know,
Unity.
space there in terms of travel.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is a lot of locals. They are not show offy. One thing I've realized with content creators in the other African countries is
Mhm.
that for them it's about content. It's not about I've got a car, I've got this, I've got this. It's about creating the content. Yeah, the bling, and and I think in South Africa we are so focused on the popping the bottles. We're focused on the
Camera-
things that don't matter.
cars.
Things that don't matter in terms of content. And I think that's why in travel, we are allowed to be ourselves. We're allowed to really tell stories of Africa. So I'm very, very focused in terms of telling African stories, speaking to my mom, speaking to my dad, finding out where the travel began, talking
Yeah.
about who we are as Black people, talking about Zulu Nation, Xhosa Nation. I want us to know ourselves. And I think that's the type of content that other African countries are focusing on that we need to now jump on. We need to come back home. We need to create content that speaks our language. We need to skulume, and not be afraid. Let's be able to do that, and let's be able to really show Africa, show our Africanness,
Yes.
and I think that's where I want to move to. And yeah, I'm very excited about other African countries that are killing it in terms of content, who are killing it in terms of storytelling,
Mhm.
and the creative space.
Yeah, so you spoke about your mom and dad, and I think this early this week or late last week, you posted something about your first campaign with your family.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So, as I told you, I don't create content for brands. I create content for myself and
Yeah,
just to create content. And so during lockdown, we were spending a lot of time with my parents, and I came up with a concept called An Ode to Travel. And I featured my parents,
yeah,
and it was on my IGTV where we would talk and talk about travel and how we started traveling and our love for travel.
yeah.
And so that's where it began. And the brand was watching my stories every day, watching my stories. And I was filming with my family. And this is just me being myself.
Mm,
And I was being consistent in the type of content I wanted to create.
yeah.
And then the brand manager literally sent me a DM. Hi, Thobi, I have an idea. I love your content. I love your family.
Hold on a second. So you're not allowed to tell us which brand is this?
No, no.
Okay, but this is Passion Brands. You gotta give us exclusive scoop, man.
I'll tell you an exclusive. All right, it's a car brand. It's
When
a
the
car
time,
brand.
we'll be the first ones to post about it.
It's a car brand. It's a car brand.
Is
And
that?
I've worked with them before. It's a car brand.
Oh, it's a car brand. I think I know, but
Car,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And so they watched our content. She sent me a DM, and the idea stemmed from that. And now it's a whole campaign. It's going to feature about 4 content creators, and we're going to get to travel in all different styles. It's all about, the first time we traveled and recreating those moments. And so for me, it's recreating my travel moments with my family, and I will get to travel. It's all completely sponsored. Um, and still getting paid, and it's gonna be amazing. And yeah, my family's coming along.
We
Yes,
got
it's not just a free trip. It's not
yeah,
just a free trip. I'm also getting paid.
yes, no, that's good.
Yes.
And, so we'll be keeping close eye to your social media accounts to find out which
Thank you.
is and what you really gonna be getting up to with it, And pretty sure it's gonna
Thank
be
you.
a spectacular one. I know when it comes to content, you don't really, actually, you never disappoint. So we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of a young reality show format. So that's gonna be exciting.
Yo, Thobi Rose. Actually, at first I thought your name came from Amber Rose, like because
Ah,
at some point you had blonde hair. Remember
yeah.
blonde?
Yeah.
No, I think, but no, it's just blooming. That's why you are Thobi Rose.
Thank you, Paz.
Yeah. So tell me just briefly on obviously COVID-19, came and shook off many plans. We all had plans that this year, 2020, was gonna be our year. Then COVID-19. Look,
Mm-hmm.
you can't travel. You can't be posting
Mm.
Cape Town, Camps Bay, or Nairobi, Kenya.
Yeah.
Not in your house with your family. How did that have an impact on you and on you and
Phew.
business?
In the beginning, it was so tough, Pat. I had a little bit of a panic attack on like, what am I gonna do? But what it did is that it forced me to think outside the box. It forced me to think of what are my other talents and how can I make money off my other talents. And so that's when I started consulting, and it did absolutely well. And so I started consulting, and I still consult today. So I have multiple streams of income, and I think that's a big thing to also have. And so I started consulting in terms of um, social media, how people can sort of get their social media running, some of the lessons I've learned, and basically helping younger or smaller influencers and people wanting to be in the space.
Yeah.
And I was charging for that, and people were biting. And so that's how I
And
made my money.
if one thing I am taking away from this, actually the biggest lesson with you is that you're not scared of talking about money. You're not scared of sending the invoice. And I think that's one thing that, for me personally, particularly if it's not like related to the agency, when it comes to
Mm.
personal finance, because I'm still treating it as a passion project. And yeah, the money conversation is quite hard. Hence, now I'm getting my team to actually start, be the ones that talk about money. If you want us to talk about it's just hard, you
It
know?
is hard, Pat, but we have to live, right? And so, for me, I started getting a little frustrated when people would DM me and like, "Hi, Thobi, please help me." And I was using my time to help people, and I still do it. But I got to a point where I'm like, "Listen, man, you guys have to pay. Hey, you have to pay for my time, and that's my time is valuable. Um,
Yeah.
and you have to pay." And I made it a really good price. I didn't overcharge people,
Mhm.
just so a lot of people could be able to, seek help from me.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And from that, I got opportunities in government, to do some consultations for some government departments. And that is what covered me. That is what got me through COVID. That is what allowed me to save up and still start creating content now. And so it came as a blessing, because it was something I always wanted to do. People always like, "Thobi, can we please consult?" And I'm like, "Ish, okay, maybe. And so I didn't have time, and I had time. So I worked on it. I made it perfect. I did videos, and I've been consulting ever since. And so that's now another stream of income for me, because obviously I studied strat comms, and I can use my other talents to really not just get money, but to really give back to my community, to really give back to my followers,
Yeah.
because they have really been amazing. And I'm so lucky to have an engaged audience
Yeah.
that engages with me. And so that's how it started. And that's how I got out of the rut of saying, "What am I going to do?" I hate having that thing of, "What am I going to do?" I have to come up with the actual thing. So I literally sat and I was like, I have to start consulting. I have to. I went on Canva, free. I started creating, I just started. And I think when we are faced with uncomfortability, that
Yeah.
is when growth happens. That is when new ideas come.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened with me.
Fantastic. Actually, I was watching an online video which is also available on podcast, by Aki Anastasua, with the CEO and founder of Discovery, Adrian Gore.
Yes.
Adrian Gore has this thing of saying, if it's not Armageddon, we continue to build.
Yeah,
During a crisis, competition is distracted. They're focusing on the wrong.
exactly.
They don't want to invest. They don't want to start something new because they
Exactly.
preserve what they already have and protect what they already
Exactly.
have. So people
Exactly.
want to be mode, and say, hey, we can't do anything. And
Exactly. And Pat, that's the thing. I was still creating travel content. I just had to rethink it. I was still putting out content. I was still being consistent. And the thing is, that is what made me get more brand deals, because I was being consistent. I wasn't like, "Oh no, I can't travel. I can't create content." I knew how to repurpose my content. I knew how to still educate. I knew how to get my audience still excited about traveling when we could travel. And I think that's the beauty, not being scared that, oh no, I'm not an influencer now because I can't go. I'm still an influencer. I still influence. I still content create. And I was still doing travel related content even when we couldn't.
Sure, but also I saw you collaborating with other brands outside of travel.
Yeah.
Did you take a deliberate sort of decision to say now I'm gonna go to Coup and do something with them, or they just came to you because they just saw you doing stuff and being consistent in what you do, and they were like, okay, maybe let's plug in.
I think they all just came to me because they all realized that travel filters into different other avenues. And so small things like a brand came to me. I did work with Panini and I'm still continuing them. They were like, listen, we need
Yeah,
someone who's
hold on a second. You drink that thing, eh? I see you all the time.
Thank you. So for me, it was like they needed someone in travel.
Yeah.
Like brands are always focusing on the same people. They're always focusing on beauty or fashion. And
Yeah.
so I think it was a time for brands to start saying, "Hi, bo guys, actually travel. People are traveling, and people see Thobi as the voice of travel. And how do we marry travel and lifestyle?" And they literally gel. And so that's why brands came to me, and that's why I work a lot with brands that are not particularly travel.
Mm-mm. Fantastic. So, what is next for you? 2020 is almost done. Yes, you pivoted and you've grown as a content creator. What's next? What does the next 3 years look like for you?
So the next, not even 3 years, because that's too far. But the next step is that's too far. The next step is having my own website, making sure that I house all my services on my website, being able to have my services on there, work on there, blog, all those things on my website. Second thing is possibly going into podcasting. You'll hear about that later.
Got the
Hey,
voice. You've got.
thanks. So that's the second thing. The third thing, definitely going into, as I said, having that office space, having a space to create in-house content, and actually having that as a sustainable thing instead of me waiting for brands. I want to be able to sell, to brands, to television. I want my stuff on television, and so that's important for me. So yeah, the
There's
next
gonna
thing,
be a
yeah,
Thobi Rose Netflix special one day or show on
you
show.
know.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Definitely come.
that's my plan. And obviously, my company with my sister is going to be curating amazing experiences very soon. We're thinking of just giving people enough time to save up. And hopefully, 2021, we start traveling. People can start booking through us.
Yeah.
And that's the plan, man, to just keep doing better, being better, having that brand voice. And being the voice of travel and lifestyle and being relatable and people knowing that listen, we can all kind of be Toby and we can all be ourselves. We don't need to be anyone else but ourselves. But yeah, it's really just housing everything. So I'm excited to house all my stuff, get that website out,
Yeah.
and really just work towards being taken really seriously in the space.
Great. So, how can people get a hold of you? I mean, I know you're online, but for someone who's just, you know, meet you for the first time, how can they follow you? Where can they follow you?
So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, which are the biggest platforms that I use for now. And it's Thobi_Rose. Thobi, Thobi_Rose. I also have a YouTube channel. It is called Thobi Rose.
Mhm.
It's a new YouTube channel where I'm going to, create some more content and house a lot of my content there. But I also have a travel related, site on YouTube. Also, it's called The Lived Experience. And you can also follow The Lived Experience on Instagram and you can travel with me or I can make your travel dreams a reality. And that's who I am. I can't wait to connect with you guys. Thank you, Pat, so much for having me on this amazing platform.
Thank you for making time.
And yeah, I'm excited about the future.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, look, I've been watching you grow. I mean, from UJ to where you are today. and please keep that personality, that humility. I remember, when was it? Actually, that event we were at in Bram.
Yes,
Yeah, at JNB, I saw,
yes,
I was like, okay, this lady now, things are moving for her, but you always remember your people. That's what
yeah, yeah.
I admire the most about you, that you'll never sort of act bigger than whoever you in your previous life. And I think if you keep that, that'll be amazing.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone for watching this. It'll be available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and of course, Google Podcasts. Thobi Rose, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Pattern Brands Dialogues, and I am Pat Masang.
Pat. It's Pat on Brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man.